out a few names. I'm sorry. I welcome all of you here for the Viva Voce. I welcome the faculty members from the Department of Psychology, WCC, and the other faculty members from other colleges too. I welcome the research scholars and students from our own college and also from other city colleges and universities who have joined us today. Thank you so much for being with us. A special welcome to the family members of Sr.Jennifer and sisters of the Salesian congregation. Thank you for being with her today. Thank you so much. I also welcome those who are joining us online. We have those joining us from Italy and the rest from India, Bangalore, Madurai and Tanjavur. Wishing you all the best, sister. Yeah. I now hand over the mic to Dr. Usharani.
Good morning, one and all. I deem it a great pleasure to introducing our examiner, Dr. V. Surendran, Professor and Head, Department of Psycho-Oncology, Cancer Institute, Chennai. Welcome you, sir. So, Dr. Surendran is a dynamic person with sound knowledge and interest for research. He is in Ethics Committee of our college. He has been guiding research scholars for MPhil and PhD from Madras University and also serves as a committee member in RAC for many scholars. He has many publications in reputed journals. We welcome you, sir, to conduct the proceedings of the Viva. I would like to introduce the candidate, Sister Jennifer, faculty, Auxilium College, Madurai. Jennifer is a part-time external candidate who joined for her PhD program under my guidance and supervision in the year 2018. Her enthusiasm in research is appreciated. Her research topic is enhancing emotional health among adolescents of single parents in Tamilnadu, using meaning therapy and meta-emotion strategies. I welcome the RAC members, Dr. Tenmoli and Dr. Kanchana, for being with us today. I welcome all my friends and well-wishers, my professors, who are all here. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome all my friends, research scholars, my dear students and family and well-wishers of Jennifer, who are present here today to witness the Viva. Over to you, sir.
So very good morning to all of you. As per the university mandate, the candidate has submitted thesis to the University of Madras, and the thesis was evaluated by both national and international examiners, and we received the report. And now we are here, assembled here to conduct the public Viva Voce examination. So in the process, now you may present your work. Try to complete your presentation within 30 minutes, not more than 30 minutes. Later we will take up the questions. So over to you now.
I wish to begin the presentation of the thesis with a sense of gratitude to you, respected Dr. Lillian Jasper, our principal, respected Dr. Surendran, the external examiner, Dr. Usharani, my respected guide, Dr. Zarina, our HOD, and the members of the Research Advisory Committee, Dr. Tenmoli, Dr. Kanchana, and Dr. Veena Ishwaradas, and to all the retired faculty, especially Dr. Sheila Julius. To you distinguished scholarly examiners, respected professors, my dear co-researchers, dear family members and friends, warm greetings to one and all. Introduction and background. Life is holistic. It is in the integration of the different dimensions of life, those of physical, mental, emotional, social and spiritual, and various other aspects that it can be lived in its wholeness. In pursuit of this wholeness, one discovers the true and profound meaning of one's life. Researchers say that the search for this meaning begins when a person is in or her adolescence. Imagine an adolescent between an age of 15 and 18 years growing up in a single parent household due to whatever reason it can be. Can that family scenario be taken for granted, or is it naturally a deprivation for a child? Can it not lead to feelings of violence, anxiety, depression, anger, isolation, lack of social interaction, negative perception of self, and at times even to suicidal ideation? The following theories from humanistic and positive, developmental and behavioral psychology shed light on the understanding of the situation of ASPs. The research emphasizes the emotional health of the adolescents of single parents. Emotional health is an overarching concept and a basic requisite for mental health and thus for holistic personal growth. It involves the positive recognition and acceptance of one's own emotions and those of others. Emotional health can be defined as the individual's ability to understand and be responsive to one's emotional experiences, to be able to feel the full range of one's emotions and be at ease with it. From the review of the literature, 4 components of emotional health are envisioned in the study, namely the 4 C's: challenge coping, capacity display, counting the other, and callousness riddance. These components of emotional health can be seen supported by many theories of positive psychology and well-being. As a means to enhance this emotional health among adolescents of single parents, meaning therapy and meta-emotion strategies are chosen as interventions administered over a 3-week period in 16 sessions. The objectives of meaning therapy are to facilitate a favorable change in the client and to help them equip themselves to cope with the demands or challenges of everyday life, to build on their strengths and virtues, and to take responsible actions and grow in their capacity for self-transcendence. It focuses on dealing with the cognitive, behavioral, and affective problems of the clients through intervention strategies such as cultivation of intrinsic self-worth, double vision strategy, pure intervention strategy, ABCDE intervention strategy, and tragic optimism. It helps the process of building resilience in those who undergo adverse life situations. Meta-emotion strategies are used as means to better equip the ASPs to understand and handle their feelings and to coach themselves in responding to various emotions they experience. And basically, meta-emotion is the secondary emotion that occurs as a result of the primary emotions. And it is the feelings about feelings and contains 6 dimensions, namely awareness, acceptability, communication, causality, manipulation, and coaching. Need for the study. The probability of the typical crisis in the face of adolescence and the inevitable stresses in the life of ASPs can be dealt with positively and proactively using meaning therapy and meta-emotion strategies, enhancing the overall emotional health of ASPs. Facts suggest that intervention programs aimed at improving the emotional health of adolescents are few, particularly in India. The importance of working for ASPs in an important phase of their developmental lifestyle is underscored by the supposition that they are likely to lack the support system that an adolescent from a 2-parent family would naturally have. These premises create the necessity to design some intervention strategies to help the ASPs enhance their emotional health towards total well-being. Review of literature. An extensive review of literature was carried out to explore the factors influencing emotional health, the choice of the intervention programs aimed at enhancing emotional health, the difficulties faced by ASPs, and the studies related to meta-emotion and parental meta-emotion philosophy, meaning therapy, meaning in life, and other meaning-centered therapies from varied databases, books, and ebooks. Just a sample of the extensive exploration consisting of a selective and strictly pertaining list of studies is presented here. The study of Akkad et al. Examining the parent-child connectedness, that of Jakaradi and others on emotional health of adolescents, and that of Herman and others on the factors associated with the emotional health of children offer close to our research approach to factors influencing emotional health of ASPs. More particularly, the research on single parenting carried out by Siddiqui and Sultana, and those specifically on ASPs by Sesson, Erigel and Dinkintel and Alami et al. Indicate the inroads made in understanding the difficulties faced by ASPs. From the study of parental meta-emotions by Godman et al. And by Kehoe, meta-emotion has come into a considerable focus in helping persons with their well-being. More recent studies focusing on meta-emotion per se, like those of Brinda, Pandey and Jaiswal and Belen et al. Set the stage for this present study. Moreover, the scanty studies done in India is an indicator of the research gap and the wide scope that exists for research on meta-emotion, particularly in view of enhancing the emotional health of adolescents. A vast number of researches have been carried out based on meaning therapy, and it has been proved to be effective in overcoming bereavement, in building youth resilience, building character strength, and growing in self-transcendence for healing and well-being. Hence, using meaning therapy for ASPs who face life challenges and adverse life situations seems more than justified in the process of helping them find meaning in life and enhance their emotional health. Research gap. From the literature review, the following research gaps have been identified. Though ways and means to enhance emotional health among children and adolescents in schools have been proposed through various curriculums designed for the purpose, the researcher has not found any intervention module specifically designed in India to enhance emotional health among adolescents. Though it has been established that ASPs do have particular difficulties in their emotional well-being, there have not been many studies done on enhancing emotional health or well-being of ASPs. On the whole, very few studies have been done in India on emotional health, and that accentuates the need to examine the emotional health of adolescents, particularly in Tamil Nadu. There is certainly a dearth of studies on examining the meaning in life among adolescents and how it can help in the stage of adulthood. Meaning therapy has not been studied in India so far. Using this therapy as a means to enhance the emotional health of adolescents raised in single-parent families is found relevant and important. Significance of the current study. One of the primary aims of the study is to enhance the emotional health of adolescents of single parents in Tamil Nadu by implementing interventions, namely meaning therapy and meta-emotion strategies, in 6 districts of Tamil Nadu, leading them to holistic growth and development. Considering the impact on the emotional well-being of ASPs and the precarity of emotional maturity among adolescents raised in dysfunctional families, meta-emotion is indeed a phenomenon worth being taught for adolescents. Strategies of meta-emotion can certainly help them become responsible for their own emotions and capable of coping with them and handling them in an efficacious manner. Using meaning therapy as a means to enhance the emotional health of ASPs could prove beneficial to help them grow in understanding the meaning of their life and turn their traumatic experiences to resilience. Objectives of the study. The study began with the following objectives: to understand the problems faced by adolescents of single parents in the state of Tamil Nadu through a representative sample, to identify the influence of demographic variables on the problems faced by adolescents of single parents, to examine the impact of the problems on the presence of meaning in life, search for meaning in life, meta-emotion and emotional health of adolescents of single parents, to develop an intervention module on meaning therapy and meta-emotion strategies for adolescents of single parents, to study the relationship between meaning in life, that is presence and search, and meta-emotion to emotional health, to investigate the effect of meaning therapy and meta-emotion strategies as psychotherapeutic interventions towards enhancing emotional health of adolescents of single parents. Hypothesis. The hypothesis for the present study emerged from the theoretical framework of emotional health, adolescents of single parents, meta-emotion and meaning in life, basing on the review of literature undertaken. The dominant problems that ASPs face can be broadly categorized along 5 lines: attachment to family, perception of academic performance, emotion management, sociability, and self-esteem. Adolescents of single parents would face significant psychosocial and emotional problems in attachment to their families, perception of academic performance, emotion management, sociability, and self-esteem. There will be a significant difference in the demographic variables on the problems faced by adolescents of single parents. The problems faced by adolescents of single parents would have a significant impact on their presence and search for meaning in life, meta-emotion, and emotional health. Presence of meaning in life, search for meaning in life, and meta-emotions would have significant positive relationship with the emotional health of adolescents of single parents. Interventions of meaning therapy and meta-emotion strategies would have a significant positive impact on the emotional health of adolescents of single parents. Method of investigation. The present research was carried out across 3 phases as follows. Phase 1, translation and standardization of the tools pertaining to the study. Phase 2, survey measure to identify the ASPs with high problems and screening procedure. Phase 3 was again subdivided into 2 subphases: A, preparation of the intervention module and pilot study, and Phase 3B, administration of the intervention. Phase 1, translation and standardization of the tools pertaining to the study. The following 4 tools were used in the study for the purpose of collecting data from the sample: questionnaire for adolescents of single parents, QASP, emotional health scale, EHS, meaning in life questionnaire, MLQ, and meta-emotion assessment scale, MEAS. Permissions were sought from the original authors for the use of the tools, and they were all translated into Tamil and making them bilingual, English and Tamil, for the benefit of the students in Tamil Nadu, and the translation reliability was established scientifically. The psychometric properties of the tools, though already established by the original authors, were tested again among the sample of interest to the researcher in order to confirm the reliability and validity among the proposed population. Exploratory and confirmatory factor analysis were worked out for EHS, MLQ, and MEAS, and composite reliability and construct validity were re-established. In the process, the number of items were reduced for the emotional health scale and the meta-emotion assessment scale, and the dimensions of the scales were confirmed. All the tools used for the studies were proven to have sound psychometric properties. Phase 2, survey measure to identify the adolescents of single parents with high problems and screening procedure. Research design, ex post facto design was used in the phase 2 of the study. Setting of the research study, the research was carried out in a classroom setting with circular seating arrangements among government and government aided schools in Tamil Nadu. Population, all adolescents of age 15 and 18 years in Tamil Nadu, South India, living with a single parent, either due to parental death, divorce or separation. Sample design, multi-stage cluster sampling design was used to select the participants. Sampling technique, the method of purposive sampling technique was used to collect the data for the phase 2 of the study. Sample selection. In the first stage, the state of Tamil Nadu was divided into 3 clusters: the northern region, the central region, and the southern region. In the second stage, 2 districts were randomly chosen from each region: Chennai and Krishnagiri from the northern region, Tiruchirappalli and Tanjavur from the central region, and Madurai and Tirunelveli from southern region. In the third stage, in each district, the list of government and government-aided higher secondary schools was sought from the district education office for the due permission from the Department of Education. 4 government or government-aided schools were randomly chosen from each district, some boys' schools, some girls' schools, and some co-education schools. In the 4th stage, the sample of ASPs from the chosen schools was selected for the survey study. The number of participants varied in each school depending on the strength of the ASPs, with a minimum of 15 participants. Care was taken to give equal weightage to the number of boys and girls from each district. Similar procedure was followed in every other district chosen to be part of the study. The selection of the participants of ASPs from each school was made after an initial orientation and procurement of informed consent. The students were asked to get the informed consent sheet signed by their parent after seeking their due permission to be part of the study. Sample 476 ASPs studying class 11th and 12th in 24 government and government-aided schools from 6 districts in Tamil Nadu were identified. The final sample who completed the survey questionnaire and returned to the researcher was 406 of the above said ASPs. Variables. Independent variables, age of the participant, that is 15, 16, 17 or 18 years, gender, male or female, class study 11th or 12th standard, type of school, girls school, boys school or co-education, reason for single parent status, that is divorced or separated or the parental death, and current living ambient with parent, with relatives or living in a hostel. Type of family, nuclear or joint, number of siblings, no siblings, that's only child, 1, 2 or more, and duration of living as an ASP from birth, from primary school or from high school. Dependent variables are the problems faced by ASPs in attachment to family, perception of academic performance, emotion management, sociability and self-esteem. Here is the sampling distribution in the selection of schools and ASPs with the number of students chosen in each school. Procedures and measures used for the study: ethical clearance, debriefing, informed consent form both for the parent and the participant, and the questionnaire for adolescents of single parents. Statistical analysis used were frequency and percentage analysis, independent sample t-test, one-way Here is the model of the 16 sessions for the intervention programs used in the study. Meta-emotion strategies module consisted of activities conducted to cultivate the 6 dimensions of meta-emotion. 2 activities were prepared for each component to help the sample group understand what those components of meta-emotion are and apply them to their everyday life. These activities were previously verified with experts in the field of psychology and of education. The meaning therapy module was implemented after the intervention of meta-emotion strategies so that the students were already familiar with emotions and the means to process them. The 3 modules of the positive triad, that is pure and ABCDE intervention strategies and tragic optimism, representing the 3 meaning-centered positive intervention strategies, were used in meaning therapy. Pilot study. Enabling the researcher to test the validity of the intervention modules, a pilot study was carried out among a small sample of 20 ASPs, boys 10 and girls 10, in 2 groups from 2 schools after debriefing and informed consent. The mean age of the participants was 16.1 years. The researcher used an internal pilot study included in the research design of the main intervention study. Pre-test and post-test evaluations for significant level of 0.000 in Wilcoxon sign rank test indicated a statistically significant improvement in all the 4 variables of emotional health, meta-emotion, presence of meaning in life, and search for meaning in life. Phase 3B, administration of the intervention. Research design, pre-test, post-test, control group design was used in this phase. The chosen schools in each district were randomly assigned to either the experimental group or to the control group. Selection criteria for the sample. Criteria specific to this phase of the study were ASPs who scored high in the 75th percentile, that is the scores ranging between 30 and 40 of the total problems in the QASP. That's a questionnaire for adolescent of single parent. And ASPs who consented to participate in the meaning therapy and meta-emotion strategies intervention program. Sample design. Through the method of random sampling, 2 schools of boys and girls in each district were assigned to either experimental group or waitlisted control group. The number of selected participants varied from one school to the other, and the total number of participants were 234. Both the experimental group and control group were matched for each of the 9 demographic variables using chi-square test. 118 ASPs, that is 62 boys and 55 girls, were part of the experimental group. The other 116 ASPs, 59 boys and 57 girls, were part of waitlisted control group. Dropout data. Out of the 234 participants, 5 dropouts citing various reasons, that is 4 in the experimental group and 1 in the control group, were recorded. Hence, the final number of participants was 229. Independent variables considered in the research were meaning in life with its 2 components of presence and search for meaning in life and meta-emotion. Dependent variables, emotional health with its 4 components of challenge coping, counting the other, capacity display and callousness riddance serve as the dependent variables. Measures used for the study: emotional health scale, meta-emotion assessment scale and meaning in life questionnaire. Intervention program. Intervention program consisting of meta-emotion strategies module 8 sessions and meaning therapy module 8 sessions was offered to the 12 experimental group, that is 6 groups of boys and 6 groups of girls with 8 to 10 participants in each group. After the pre-assessments on meta-emotion, emotional health, presence of meaning in life and search for meaning in life. And also like to put a note that I underwent a training myself in meaning therapy before conducting the meaning therapy as part of my thesis program. Homogeneity in the administration of the treatment procedures was maintained and the intervention was carried out in all the 6 districts of Tamil Nadu at different dates and timings from August 2019 to February 2020. Post-test was conducted after the interventions for the experimental group and for the control group as well that had not received the intervention. It was done after the completion of all the 16 sessions and after a period of 1 month. The questionnaires of EHS, MEAS and MLQ were filled up by the participants. Statistical analysis. The scores entered were subjected to analysis using statistical techniques in SPSS version 25 and Statistica version 13.5. The following statistical analysis were done: multiple linear regression, correlation analysis, 2x2 repeated measures ANOVA, effect size and power. The second and third phases of the study are indicated in this figure. And these are the bar charts depicting the frequency for each of the demographic variables among the experimental group and the control group. Findings of the study. Hypothesis 1, which stated ASPs would face significant psychosocial and emotional problems in attachment to their family, perception of academic performance, emotion management, sociability and self-esteem is accepted. That's related to the influence of demographic variables on the problems faced by ASPs. At this stage, there were 16 findings and they can be grouped under the following affirmations. There were significantly greater problems among adolescents in attachment to family, perception of academic performance, emotion management and sociability based on age. ASPs who are female and who studied in girls' school had significantly greater problems in all the 5 problem areas when compared to males. There was no significant difference in any of the 5 problem areas based on the class of study. ASPs whose parent was a widow or widower and who lived in a hostel had significantly greater problems in attachment, perception of academic performance, emotion management, and self-esteem than those with divorced or separated parent and living with parents or relatives. ASPs living in a nuclear family and those with siblings displayed greater problems in attachment to family than those living in a joint family and who had no siblings. ASPs living with a single parent from high school displayed greater problems in attachment to family and in their perception of academic performance, and ASPs living with a single parent from primary school displayed greater problems in their perception of academic performance, emotion management, and sociability than those who live with single parents from birth. Hence, hypothesis 2, which stated there will be a significant difference in the demographic variables on the problems faced by ASPs, can be accepted only partially. Related to the impact of the problems on the presence of meaning in life, search for meaning in life, meta-emotion, and emotional health. All 5 problems had a significant impact on the presence of meaning in life among ASPs. Problems in attachment to family had a significant impact on the search for meaning in life among ASPs. Problems in attachment to family, emotion management, and self-esteem had significant impact on the meta-emotion of ASPs, and similarly the problems in attachment to family, emotion management, and self-esteem had significant impact on the emotional health of ASPs. And all the significant results are highlighted in bold in red. Hence, hypothesis 3, which stated the problems faced by ASPs would have a significant impact on their presence and search for meaning in life, meta-emotion, and emotional health, is accepted partially. Related to the relationship of meaning in life and meta-emotions to emotional health, meta-emotion and meaning in life are significantly correlated with emotional health and have a positive relationship with the emotional health of ASPs. Hypothesis 4, which holds that presence of meaning in life, search for meaning in life, and meta-emotions would have a significant positive relationship with the emotional health of ASPs, is accepted. Impact of training on PML, SML, and meta-emotion. As depicted in the bar charts, there has been a significant increase in the post-test scores of the experimental group as compared to the control group after the administration of the interventions of meaning therapy and meta-emotion strategies module on the 3 variables of presence and search for meaning in life and meta-emotions. The bar charts depicting between groups and within groups on each of the 6 dimensions of meta-emotion is shown here. The interaction of time and group for each of the 3 variables is presented here in this slide, along with the effect size values, which are large based on partial eta square. Hypothesis 5.1, intervention of meaning therapy will significantly increase the presence of meaning in life among ASPs in the experimental group as compared to the waitlist control group, is accepted. Hypothesis 5.2, intervention of meaning therapy will significantly increase the search for meaning in life among ASPs in the experimental group as compared to the waitlist control group, is accepted. Hypothesis 5.3, intervention of meta-emotion strategies will significantly increase the meta-emotion among ASPs in the experimental group as compared to the waitlist control group, is accepted. With regard to the effect of the interventions on emotional health, that's its total score, and each of its components, 2 by 2 repeated measures ANOVA clearly depict a significant increase of scores in the post-test in the experimental group as compared to the control group. Hypothesis 5.4, which stated interventions of meaning therapy and meta-emotion strategies will significantly increase the emotional health among ASPs in the experimental group as compared to the waitlist control group, is accepted. Similarly, the bar charts are shown for each of the components of emotional health, making a comparison of between group and within group, and there is a significant increase in the post-test scores of the experimental group as compared to the control group as per 2 by 2 repeated measures ANOVA. Hypothesis 5.5 states interventions of meaning therapy and meta-emotion strategies will significantly increase each of the components of emotional health, that is challenge coping, counting the other, capacity display and callousness riddance among ASPs in the experimental group as compared to the weightless control group is accepted. Therefore, pre-testing equivalence has been established between the experimental group and control group in emotional health, presence of meaning in life, search for meaning in life and meta-emotion before the administration of the intervention. There has been a statistically significant increase in all 4 variables in the experimental group after the administration of the intervention. No significant changes have been found in the control group in EH, PML, SML and in the absence of interventions. However, meta-emotion evidences a decrease from the pre-test to the post-test in the control group even without the administration of an intervention, which can be attributed to the passage of time, familiarity with the instrument and increased consciousness of the emotions after the first administration of the instrument. Hence, there has been a significant and positive effect of meaning therapy and meta-emotion strategies on the emotional health of the ASPs. Conclusion. These research findings together go to prove that ASPs do face significant psychosocial and emotional problems. The demographic variables such as age, gender, type of school, reason for single parent status, current living ambient, type of family, number of siblings and reason for the single parent status highlight the experience of being an ASP. Meaning in life and meta-emotion are significantly and positively correlated to emotional health. Interventions of meaning therapy and meta-emotion strategies have enhanced the emotional health of ASPs on the whole and in relation to emotional health's constituent components, the 4 C's. Limitations and delimitations of the research. The experience of the COVID-19 pandemic was a prominent limitation in the process of the research, including the inability of a follow-up. As a delimitation, the researcher had consciously chosen not to have a study that compared an ASP with an adolescent from a 2-parent family. Implications and further scope of the study. The 16 sessions of meta-emotion strategies and meaning therapy intervention modules designed as part of this study can become a framework of reference for educators and counselors in benefit of not only ASPs but all school-going adolescents towards enhancing their emotional health. They could serve as a model for many such modules. The meaning therapy intervention could be usefully extended to varied other groups with many other needs. The tools used for the study have all been translated and standardized among the adolescent population in Tamil Nadu. This could be another remarkable contribution to the psychological field of work in the state and among the Tamil population living elsewhere. These tools can now be used effectively for psychological assessments in schools. The formulation of the 4 C's as integral components of emotional health is an original contribution of the researcher, which can further the studies in the field of measuring and working with holistic well-being. The positive results from the population of Tamil Nadu demonstrate the continued need for further research on emotional health among Indian adolescents, the need for incorporating emotional health curriculum in schools for the benefit of not only the ASPs but even other adolescents who undergo trauma in various forms. Need for special attention to adolescents with problem markers like low academic performance, lack of emotion management and so on. Recommendations arising from the research. Based on the results from the research, it is recommended that emotion coaching could be offered also to the parent involved as part of the meta-emotion strategy intervention. Further researchers could investigate if these findings remain consistent across different adolescent groups and across different regions of India, correlating the findings with those from other contexts. A longitudinal study would determine the lasting effect of meaning therapy on having a healthy sense of meaning in career, married life, and on the stages of adulthood. Focus group discussions with parents could help in the understanding of the problems faced by ASPs. An opinion from the parents pre-intervention and a feedback from them post-intervention could add to the reliability of the findings. Efforts to enhance the emotional health of persons are not an activity as can be gathered from the research and the resultant reflections. It is a process where the person concerned, those who are in a position to help, the surrounding context, the institution and the entire society are involved. It is indeed a complex process in which each and every one of us has to be committed to. Though this research is about enhancing the emotional health of the ASPs, it is not an end in itself. It is but an integral part of a much more complex reality of the emotional health of all. But the underlying fact is that the emotional health or the holistic well-being cannot be worked on at large, but it has to be worked on with every single person involved in the whole. The holistic well-being of humanity begins with the holistic well-being of every individual person. And the holistic well-being of an individual person begins from the capacity he or she develops towards discovering the meaning of one's own life and existence. Indeed, Viktor Frankl was more than justified when he reiterated the dictum of Friedrich Nietzsche. Those who have a why to live can bear with almost any how. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. Well presented, very comprehensive. I gone through the report received from both international and national examiner. Fortunately, there are no questions from both of them. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
And they have highly commented your thesis. Both the examiners, they highly commented and recommended the thesis for further evaluation.
Thank you, sir.
So, however, there are few questions written by your supervisor that I think I supposed to ask. So, the one question that she asked is, do you have any suggestions for the system of education in general to tackle the issue dealt with in the research?
Yeah. With the system of education, yes, because we find the adolescents of single-parent families in all the schools. So in the school, if at all we can have a policy for such adolescents of single parents, yes, we have the economic policy, but even if we have the psychology for the psychological assessment, if we can have some policy in the school to help such adolescents of single parents to meet their psychological needs, that would be very beneficial. And I would also suggest that in the schools, all the educators and the counselors take extra care to identify such adolescents and to see the problem markers, because mostly in schools we see just the academic performance or maybe the emotion management. Those can be treated just as problem markers, but there are the deep underlying problems that every adolescent goes through in school. So if we can do something in addressing those issues that the adolescents of single parents face in schools, that would be very helpful in coming up with a policy and the curriculum, the emotional health curriculum in schools.
Okay, thank you. So now the floor is open for questions. So I request the faculty members and the scholars to raise your questions, and if you have any suggestions.
Good morning. I thought I would make a beginning. Congrats to you as a researcher. Presentation was with clarity and with force.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for that kind of a presentation. I have a few short, maybe very simple questions to ask you. One, of course, I wanted to ask you about the follow-up, and you very clearly smartly gave it as a limitation, I would say. Very clever one. Two, I want to know whether, in terms of how long this child had a single parent?
That's what, as part of the demographic variables, we have collected details.
Yeah.
If they were from birth, born into a single parent family, or from primary school, or from high school. So they were all included as part of the study.
No, was any comparative study being done?
Among
To
these
see,
three,
yeah.
yes, among the impact of the demographic variables, influence of the demographic variables on the problems faced by adolescents, is the comparison was made between each of this, like
It was done.
from birth, from primary school and from high school.
And did you see a significant difference?
Yes, there was a significant difference. Those adolescents from birth were able to better cope with it than those who had lost their parent in the stage of their high school, which could be very recent.
Okay, fine,
Yes.
fine. My other next question is, you didn't say standardization of the test.
Yes.
I'm not too sure if you standardized, because it is a construction of a test. Test construction is different from standardization. I think Dr. Karnanidhi will help me out. So what you have done is construction of a test. A standardization is generally done on a larger sample, which will run to thousands, and norms are being established. So it's just that, I wondered why the term was being used, right? Okay. I think I'll stop with that, yeah.
I really appreciate the candidate and the supervisor for taking up such a wonderful field, because it's a very significant one in future. It is going to be a biggest social problem though. I have one observation and two questions. The observation is like you spent a lot of time explaining the background and the literature and other thing. But we would love to hear a lot about the intervention module. Maybe you would have spent a little more time to explain about the intervention modules. So there are 16 modules. We didn't have more insight into the module aspect. That is observation. Maybe you can consider for the future this thing. The questions are like irrespective of the field. It is not only for the mental health, even for the physical health and for chronic diseases also. Compliance is the biggest problem for the intervention. Even for diabetes, cancer, or any other diseases. Mental health is the worst thing, like no one comply. So I would like to, have some insight on whether all the participants completed all the 16 sessions, were there any dropouts,
Yes.
and the exercises that you have given, were they able to apply in their real time? So those aspects I would like to hear from you, because the COVID was also biggest challenge. But irrespective of the challenge, you have completed that. So about the intervention module compliance. The second question is, you said the context of the parent, like whether they are separated, the reason for the separation and other thing has a significant role in the outcome. So did you find any differences, different reasons, what were the reasons, and how it impacted their emotional well-being and the mental health? So some insight on that. Thank you.
Can you please repeat your second question again, ma'am?
No, the context of the
Yes.
problem or the reasons for the separation or divorce or what. So that has a significant influence on the outcome, you said. So did you have any data, did you have any insights on those aspects? Because that will help us, with the people who are actually working on the field to customize the module. Thank you.
Firstly, to talk about this meaning, meta-emotion strategies and meaning therapy, yes, I had actually put it there in one slide. Yes. There were these 16 sessions used for the meta-emotion strategies and meaning therapy intervention modules, okay? For the meta-emotion, as I said, there were these 6 components. So each component was explained to the sample through activities used for each and every component of the meta-emotion. So the activities were mostly based on like watching a video clip or going through an emotional profile or completing a few questionnaires. So they had such kind of role plays, different kinds of activities that were designed, and they are given in detail in the thesis book where we can go in detail. And with regard to the meaning therapy strategies too. With regard to the meaning therapy module, again, 8 sessions were followed. So we focused on the pure intervention strategies, the A, B, C, D, E, and the tragic optimism. To talk about what is this pure, is Dr. Paul Wong, he suggests the purpose, understanding, enjoyment, purpose, understanding, the responsibility and the evaluation. That is, what is the purpose behind doing an action, and if we can understand this pros and cons, and if we can take up responsibility for all the actions that we do and evaluate it, what is the evaluation, and if it doesn't work out, you have to go back and to check the purpose, the why of doing it. So similarly, we have many other strategy modules in the meaning therapy, and every module is explained in detail in the thesis. And with regard to the complaints that you spoke about, as per the meaning therapy, the counselor-client relationship is very, very important. So in meaning therapy, it is the relationship and the meaning that plays a very vital role among the adolescents. So here, the relationship with me as a counselor, the one who is conducting the research, and the client, that was very much kept intact in every session, in different districts and in different schools that I went into. When that relationship was established, the students were able to be in a better position to understand what each and every session meant, and there were also homework tasks given to them. I gave them a notebook which they could maintain, so they carried some homework tasks and they could come back to the next session with those tasks completed. So there was good engagement on the part of the adolescents. However, dropouts were also recorded. As I said, among the 234, only 229 were counted finally. There were 4 dropouts in the experimental group for various reasons, maybe lack of attendance and so many other. But the other 229 went through the entire sessions and they completed the questionnaires and they found it very useful. Then, and to also tell you, the interventions were all carried out pre-COVID. It was before the COVID. So the COVID had not actually affected the process of conducting the research till the month of February 2020. And it was only after that that the lockdown began. So as a limitation, I couldn't continue the follow-up, and moreover going to 6 districts in Tamilnadu doing the follow-up was kind of very tedious at that moment, and even the online options were not actually kept open for me at that time before the pre-COVID, when we had not thought of such options. So I couldn't get the online option as another option to actually continue with the adolescents. So that's one of the limitation of my study. Then with regard to the reasons of being a single parent, whether the parent is actually divorced or separated, or widow or a widower, again statistically significant difference have been seen between these two, with problems seen more in adolescents whose parent was a widower or widow than a parent who is separated or divorced, especially with terms of attachment to family. Yes. So, whose parent was a widow or widower, they had significantly greater problems in attachment to family, perception of academic performance, emotion management, and self-esteem than those who lived with a divorced or separated parent. Again, coping with the loss of a parent is a very tedious task for any adolescent at that particular stage. And as I've already reported earlier, those in the high school, that is who have lost their parent in the high school, had greater problems. So similarly, losing this problem where they have to really undergo, where they grieve over the loss of their parents, so the focus is more there, so that's why it affects all the other areas of life, especially their sociability, self-esteem, emotion management, and even the performance, the academic performance. Thank you.
Well, not really a question. To begin with, I joined the examiner and the other renowned professors in congratulating you for such a well-conducted research.
Thank
you. The area you have selected is very, very relevant, because single parents are around in Greece, all over the world, and India is no exception to that. My observation is that though you have used standardized tools, you have taken the pain again to re-establish its reliability and validity. It's commendable. And Professor was mentioning about standardization or constructing the test, whichever it is, translating that into Tamil and making it available to the Tamil population, I would consider it as a great contribution. Thank you.
So the intervention was conducted in the schools, is it?
Yes. In the school.
So I just wanted to know if there were any stigma-related issues that you had to face because they were adolescents especially, and how comfortable or uncomfortable were the adolescents, coming for an intervention program for ASPs?
Yes, thank you. Actually, choosing these adolescents of single parents in schools itself was a very careful, delicate job that I had to do, because I had to meet the school authorities, get permission from them, and then meet the teachers as such, the class teachers, and then identify those adolescents from single parents based on their records and their knowledge. So after getting these adolescents separately, it's like I had a very free debriefing session with them where I could talk to them freely, make them feel at home with me, and understand why we are doing this particular test on them and how useful it is going to be for them. So that way, I should say that stigma was there or not, these adolescents actually enjoyed coming for the sessions, more probably because it was like 11th and 12th standard students, and I could get a slot in one of the school hours during the last hour, so they could really bunk their other classes and come off very happily. So that was very advantageous for me for my thesis. But in terms of accepting the entire process, they found it very useful. All the stages that were, all the process that was done for them, they found it very useful. And so there was a good acceptance from the part of all the students who participated in the study.
Hi. This is Kavita Dhanraj. Commendable study, lovely study. Congratulations to you and the supervisor. The only clarification I have is, when you were dealing with the sample there, was there the behavioral problems evident? One thing is that single parent always has its own effects. Some of them are behavioral problems. Was that taken into account? The second thing is, you did mention about grief. Obviously, there would be symptoms of depression or anxiety or anger or anything. Was that controlled? And what was your observation on that? And academic area, some mild LD features is visible even in college students. So that could also impact the academic effects. So was those areas controlled? Only that.
With regard to the behavioral issues, as part of the inclusion and the exclusion criteria, those adolescents who displayed very significantly high behavioral issues and who were already undergoing psychotherapeutic interventions or counseling in various other forms were excluded from the study. So only those studies, those adolescents who were ready to be part of the study and who were cooperative were taken into the study. And with regard to the grief, yes, the meaning therapy program that happened was more of a group therapy session that was actually taken place for the adolescents. So there was more of sharing among the adolescents. So each of the adolescents were able to share their experiences of losing their loved ones in family, because that's how the meaning therapy interventions were actually carried out. There were a lot of sharing done, and there were a lot of relating that they could do with each other, and there was a lot of empathy given to them, the unconditional positive regard. So it was more of a person-centered therapy that was done, and in this way the adolescents were able to deal with their problems. But when there were intense grieving, like in terms of maybe if they had just lost their parent very recently, then there would be that intense level of grieving, which was actually taken care of separately. But in the group therapy session, all those who were kind of in the similar stage were only considered to be part of the therapy. Then your third question with regard to the academic, can you come back with the question, please? Thank you. Sorry.
Learning difficulty, my dear. That also impacts the academic area. And
Yeah.
I have seen in my practice as well that even college students do have mild, including me, do have mild LD features. So that also can play a very important role in academic area. So was that controlled as well?
Yes, as you said, even that was included as part of the exclusion criteria, where students only who could read, understand and write English and Tamil were considered, that is English or Tamil, were considered to be part of the study. The rest were not taken to be part of the study. So this criteria was undergone. The inclusion and the exclusion criteria was done very clearly.
Excellent.
Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
I think research scholars should try to imitate the way in which you presented and how it can be articulated. That shows that how much you involved in your work. So my appreciation to you.
Thank you, sir.
But also I have one precaution, that you have taken, I think, 6 to 8 students for your training session,
8 to 10.
correct?
8 to 10.
8 to 10 students. So which means you conducted your session in different phases. So how you to control the physical environment, the mood and your attitude, your exhaustion, your fatigue, okay, and you are able to do in different sessions, especially 246 people. So I have a doubt, when you use the experimental group, whether you can clearly state all these are experimental group. So that is one of the caution and limitation should be included. But what she has done is, that is how it can be closely and very in-depth manner can be done. That understood. But when we say experimental and control group, this problem comes. So you should be very cautious. It's only caution I am giving. I cannot have any solution for that. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. But actually, to tell in detail about this experimentation that was carried out, it was carried out from one district to another. So in each district, it is like when the schools were chosen, there were only like 2 experimentation groups that I was dealing with in a day, like one in the morning and the other in the afternoon, probably a group of boys and girls in the morning and afternoon. And moreover, it was me who conducted the research, so the researcher as such, that was very much controlled. And in terms of anxiety, fatigue, I had tried my best, because even before the sessions, I had conducted a small kind of activity to help them feel at ease to be in the session, and also made sure that the students didn't have any anxiety, like a test coming up in the next hour, which can make them more anxious. So these kinds of variables, that's the confounding variables, were tried to control as much as I can to my ability. But beyond that, if there is an influence, yes, we need to really keep that in.
This is related to methodology. It is not related to your problem. As a methodologist, okay, it is always questionable that you cannot say these are all experimental group, same similar condition, same physical environment, same setup. Then only it's called experiment. That is the caution I given. I didn't ask any question to you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Yes, thank you.
Just to follow-up question to Dr. Karnanidhi. Who conducted the pre and post tests?
Myself?
Yourself. So actually, this answers, his question, the observation also. Like usually the researcher will be biased. The same person shouldn't be conducting the intervention and the pre and post test. Usually the intervention should have been conducted by somebody else, or the pre and post test would have been conducted by somebody else. Okay. So that would at least control some bias in a research. But I have one more question. Like, why did you choose schools, and why you didn't choose the shelter homes where mostly the single parents and separated parents are, this?
It's very easy to get permission in schools, and moreover, the setting can be maintained. Actually, the uniformity, the homogeneity can be maintained in all the groups if I take up just schools. If I take up like schools and shelter homes, then again the differences could be found there. So in order to maintain that homogeneity, I went ahead with the schools where it's easy to find the 11th and 12th standard students and conduct the experimentation.
they go back after the school to their houses. There, again, there is an influence. Whatever you tell during your intervention, then the environment is going to be the same at home. But here in the homes, they share the uniform environment. There will be one warden and all the children of that kind. So some control would have been brought. So anyway, thank you. Wonderful presentation and the study. Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations on your detailed work and presentation. I have only 2 questions. So in your pilot study, you said you have 20 samples, right? So can I know the reason that you chose number 20?
The pilot study was just conducted in 2 schools, that is 2 groups, one group of boys and girls. And as I had already mentioned, each therapy group contained only 8 to 10 students maximum in a group therapy session. So the entire 16 session module had to be carried out for a particular therapy group. So I have just chosen 2 groups where there were 10 members, that's 10 groups of boys separate therapy group and 10 members in the other group. So there were like 2 groups with 10, then that's how I had 20 ASPs.
Okay. So the tool translation and everything was based on the 20 or that's a different?
No, tool translation I had taken like at least 5 for each item. So they were done like among 200 or 400 sample size. That was a very large sample size. And that is a very separate, that's why I have considered that as phase 1 of the study. And that is a very different, students with whom I had conducted the translation and standardization.
Yeah. So one more thing is the nature of a single parent, you said, right? Divorce, separated or these things. One more thing that occurred to me is gender of the parent and the gender of the child. So it can be a mother, daughter, father, son, mother, father. So have you came across those diversity or any differences that you have seen?
As you rightly said, yes, there can be a difference between living with a father or living with a mother, but I had not actually explored that, but it can be explored in future.
Have you seen any distribution in your...
In our distribution, it was mostly the mother, the child was mostly living with the mother. With the father were actually relatively very, very less compared to living with the mother.
Thank you.
I want to congratulate you on the massive work that you have done, considering the geographical spread and the numbers and the nature of the intervention that you have done. Congratulations to you, to the supervisor. And my question is also a sequel to Dr. Karnanidhi's question. I want to know, you had mentioned this as part of your presentation also, that you did not make a comparison between those who were in your group as compared to other students, right? You mentioned that. Can you throw more light on that?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, there were many actually studies. My interest was basically the adolescence of single parents. So I chose to take only adolescence of single parents in my study. The reason I chose not to make a comparison between these two is one, it's because it's of interest to me, the adolescence of single parents. And moreover, many studies have already been done in comparing these two groups and in saying that the adolescents of single parents have been facing significant problems. So taking that into consideration, the review of literature and all the studies that have already been done comparing these two, I particularly chose to consider only the adolescence of single parents and examine what are those problems that they particularly face. And again, based on the review of literature, those 5 problem areas that we have identified, we again scientifically proved in the research that yes, they are significant problems that these adolescents face. And that's why I did not make that comparison between the 1 and the 2 parent. I chose not to.
Congratulations, sister, and appreciation to the supervisor. I was really taken up by your presentation, and I was hesitating. So many questions I have given since the mic is near, so I grabbed it. So one curiosity is, so already the behavior problem you have mentioned because of the single parent. did you find any deviant or a genuine juvenile delinquency behaviors in that single parent? And then second one is a curiosity question. As a nun, as a sister, did you find as a challenge, or it was an kind of a support for you to do the intervention? It's also a challenge which can be also as a sister going as different schools. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Regarding the first question with regard to if there were juvenile delinquents seen among the sample, as I said, that was already excluded as part of the inclusion and the exclusion criteria. So no such deviant behavior was seen among the sample that were chosen to be part of the study. And secondly, if as a sister, yes, I could say that it was in many ways very supportive for me to go to schools and conduct the research among the students, because I could get their attention and I could also build a good relationship with them. So this counselor relationship was very much established in each and every group. So I could say that it was very much supportive to go as a religious to each of the schools.
Thank you all for very interactive and many questions, which is an indication that it shows the depth of your work. Okay? There is a depth in your work. I do have few suggestions, and also I have one or two questions to be asked. In line with the question asked by ma'am, see, it's of course it's not a standardization, so it's a process. You followed a process. Maybe because of COVID you could not continue, I don't know. But when I read the thesis, you established the factorial validity for all the tools that you translated, yes. Whereas the tool that you validated, constructed, you did not establish. However, you arrived at domains. How did you arrive at that?
Okay, for the tools, okay. All the other questionnaires that were actually constructed, they were actually standardized tools. But in spite of that, I went ahead to conduct the exploratory and the confirmatory factor analysis for each of the tools for the adolescents who are of interest to me, among the age group who were part of my study. So the entire AMOS was done for the tool, the exploratory and the confirmatory factor analysis. So all the dimensions of the tools that were already given by the original authors, they were checked for. But in terms of the emotional health scale, the analysis that we did, the confirmatory factor analysis, it did not, all the items in the tool did not fall as per the items that were actually given by the original authors. There were drastic changes in the items that were falling, in each of the component. So in terms of the rotation, the Varimax rotation, the principal component analysis that was done, the rotation part, the items did not fall as the original author had actually suggested. It could be...
No. My question is not about the translated tool.
No, yes.
My question is about the tool that you constructed.
Okay. In the tool that I constructed,
I think it is QASP, right?
Questionnaire for adolescents of single parents.
Yeah.
Yes, in that tool, among those 5 problems, actually those 5 problems were considered based on the review of literature. Okay. As those 5 problems, that is attachment to family, perception of academic performance or emotion management, sociability and self-esteem. And for each problem, there were like 3 or 4 questions, actually 5 questions that were brought up, and construct validity was done, the content validity was done by giving to experts, and many of the items already eliminated, and finally 2 items for each of the problems were kept for the tool. Okay.
See, another observation is you have 2 sample for the phase 2 and phase 3.
Yes.
For the phase 2, I think you had 470, right?
476. 476.
Finally you arrived at
406
was the final sample. Yes. Was this the required sample size as per your estimation or lesser?
No, actually I just went ahead to each of these schools that were chosen, the number of ASPs, because the ASPs, the adolescent of single parent, differed from one school to another. In some schools I could get a good number of adolescents of single parents, whereas in few other schools I could get very few adolescents who were there depending on the strength
No,
of
my
the
question
school.
is very straight. Did you estimate sample size?
Yes.
If not, maybe you can
Yes,
look
alright,
at that. That will help you while publishing. So you've done extraordinary work. I know personally because conducting multi-center studies, which it's like that multi-center trial. Doing a study in a single center itself, people struggle. But you have gone to a 6 district and selected 4 schools from each district. It's a Himalayan task. So that's fantastic. But if you pay attention to these details, I think this will add more value. It can go to a high impact factor journal.
Yes, sir,
And similarly for the intervention, so I think you chose control and experimental group, and I think both had more than 100 samples in each experimental and control. And how did you choose? You said it's a screening. The screening tool is what that you considered, that percentile. Those who fall in the 75th percentile were selected for intervention. Can you highlight a little bit more on that? So,
actually, those who fall in the 75th percentile, that is 40 is the maximum score that any student could get in that QASP. So all those students who scored between 30 and 40 were chosen to be part of the study. But among the 406, 234 already scored very high in this percentile. So among those who scored high, they were only divided into experimental and control group. So it was not that those who had problems alone were divided, were put in the experimental group.
So you put together all those 5 domains, right?
Yes, they were all put together, yes.
So it's not a single domain, so it's a overall percentile.
30 to 40, yes, percentile,
Okay.
yes, sir.
So do you have, I didn't see the interpretation for that final, the one single global domain. Was it there, or is there a global domain compiling all these scores together?
As just high problem, no? Adolescents
That's
who
the
had high
interpretation.
problems, yes, that was the only indication.
Right. Thank you. So hope there are no questions. Okay. Do you have question? Make it short. We are running out of time.
Sr.Jennifer is part of our family, Salesian congregation, Salesian Sisters of Don Bosco. We are very happy that she has made a study on the adolescents because we have lots of educational institutions in Tamilnadu. So I would like to ask you how far your thesis can help our congregation since we have lots of schools in Tamilnadu.
Thank you. Yes, certainly my thesis and the findings of my study can contribute a great deal in helping the adolescents in all our schools and colleges. First of all, the questionnaire that was constructed by me can be used as a problem marker for the students, where we can identify those students who have problems among the students in schools. And then even the intervention strategies that we have brought out, the meta-emotion strategy or the meaning therapy, they are modules which can be very clearly used. The 16 session modules which are actually given in detail can be used for the students. So first thing, what is very important in our schools is to identify those students who are from single parent families. Mostly we consider only the economic status of the students, or even if we choose the students from single parent families, we only see if they are poor or if they are able to pay the fee or not. So if we go a little beyond in understanding the emotional and the psychological problems that these students face with the questionnaires that we have designed, and with the help of the counselors and psychotherapists appointed in the school, I think we can help them a great deal, and my research can also contribute in a very good way for the benefit of the students.
Thank you. Thank you, Jennifer. See, both as I told earlier, both the examiners, international examiner has given a very good report, appreciated well, and highly recommended the thesis. And similarly, the national examiner, and they also appreciated your work and the extensive work carried out. And I also gone through the thesis, well done. my sincere appreciation to you. I was trying to find more fault, but unfortunately, when I was reading again and again, where can I find fault, but there was no. But these questions I thought I should ask you. Well done. It's a very good work, extensive work. That's what I would like to say. So, as you all witnessed, Sr.Jennifer has satisfactorily responded to all the questions raised by the scholars and eminent professionals in the field of psychology and allied field. So I take this opportunity to recommend to the University of Madras that the work done by the PhD thesis work done by Sr.Jennifer may be considered for award of Doctor of Philosophy. Congratulations.
So this is my first candidate who's completing her PhD. So I'm really happy and proud to talk about Dr. I can say it's a Jennifer, Sr.Jennifer. Anyway, this thing has been recommended by the examiner. So both the examiners had given highly recommended and there were no questions. It was one big happiness which gave me. And at each and every stage, you know, like she was so confident about what she was doing, and if you ask her any questions also, she used to confidently answer. And these questions which were raised by the examiners was asked to her by me during the mock session which we had 2 days back at home. Thank you so much. So all my professors, all my friends, everybody is here to be with me in this happy moment. My professor, Dr. Karnataka, sir. So thank you so much for being and encouraging me. I don't know how much I've proved to be. Thank you so much. I thank ma'am for being today, because like Jennifer is fortunate enough to have the head of the department or former head of the department to see your this thing, and your principal of Montfort School to be here to see your work. And I also thank Dr. Lavanya, Dr. Kanchana. Dr. Kanchana was in the doctoral board also. Dr. Vidubala, Dr. Niraimadi, Dr. Subhastri, her parents, then Dr. Sasikala, and all my colleagues, you know, starting from Dr. Zarina, Ms. Jemmy, the Nasdin, Divya Dovina, Carol, and Rini Rajan. All of them had been of great support to me, and my colleagues from other departments, other colleges, from Presidency College, Sujamani is here, Malarkodi is here, Ramya was also here, and all the research scholars from our university and other universities. Dr. Jesudha is here, Dr. Sudhakaran is here, who's my friend, philosopher and guide. Whenever I had any doubts about anything to do with research or anything, I'll just bounce at him and say, so these are the problems, please help me. And he would be readily helping me with all the doubts that I have as a guide, you know, like first time when you take up guideship, it's like parenting only, you know, like you learn to be a parent. So I used to ask Sasikala ma'am, what are the documents to be submitted, and Lavanya ma'am, and all of them had been very helpful to me throughout. Thank you so much. Thank you, sir, for conducting the Viva in a very, you know, so thank you all. All my students are here. So thank you all, the research scholars of our department, research scholars for other institutions and colleges. Thank you so much. Yeah.
So with this, we'll close the Viva Voce examination. Thank you. She wants to.
Yeah, I would like to propose the vote of thanks.
Yes, please go ahead.
It is time to recognize with gratitude every person who has had a role in the task that I have been able to accomplish. First and foremost, my heart exults in joy, and I'm boundlessly grateful to the Lord Almighty for all the wonders He has worked, granting me the capacity to carry out this research on emotional health of that section of our humanity, which is so full of promises, the adolescents, but those from single-parent families. I give thanks to Him at all times, and my soul endlessly sings His praise. I am deeply indebted to Dr. Usha Rani, my research supervisor, for her accompaniment all through my doctoral journey with extreme patience and gentleness. First of all, accepting me as a scholar under her guidance, in spite of the fact that I would be a part-timer, with all her understanding with regard to my travels and personal commitments. A constant encouragement and support, coupled with care and confidence in me at every phase of my thesis, was certainly highly motivating. She has certainly been going out of her way to guide and help me reach this landmark. Beyond a guide, I have sensed a good mother in you, dear Dr. Usha Rani, in your ability to understand and accompany me. You have been a God-given gift to me towards completing this task. Thank you with all my heart. I wish to extend my gratitude to Dr. Lillian Jasper, the principal of Women's Christian College, for this great opportunity to carry out my research from this esteemed institution. It has indeed been an enriching experience which I will cherish forever. To Dr. Veena Ishwaradas, the former HOD, who has been initially part of the doctoral committee and has guided me towards the right note to start my research. My sincere thanks to Dr. M. Kanchana, the former HOD, for her expert guidance, availability, and support, and to Dr. Sheila Julius, the former HOD, and who was the HOD when I was here in WCC once upon a time. I thank wholeheartedly Dr. Zarina, the present HOD of the Department of Psychology, for a continued support. In fact, it was Dr. Zarina who introduced me to Dr. Usha Rani when I was scouting for a guide in the department. Thank you, ma'am. My sincere sentiments of appreciation and thanks are due to Dr. Tenmuli, the external member of the doctoral committee from the Department of Counseling Psychology at Madras University, for her expert guidance and directive counsels right from the initial stages of my thesis until its completion. My thanks go to Dr. Surendran, the external examiner on the panel for this Viva Voce, for having guided it with such ease and professionality. I wish to thank all the faculty members of the Department of Psychology for your encouragement and support whenever I visited the college from Tanjavur for the thesis work. I thank the staff at the office of the college principal, the bus office, and the controller of examination for having facilitated the processes necessary all through my study and now for the final Viva. Thank you, dear students of the department who are present here. I wish to tell you something personal. This college and department will always have a very special place in my heart. It was here that I did my bachelor's in psychology between 2005 and 2008 as a young girl. And to come back to the same alma mater a decade later as a religious sister to complete my doctorate was a miraculous plan of God. I am glad you are all part of this moment of joy. Thank you all, and God bless WCC and the Department of Psychology. This research certainly would not have seen the light of day had it not been for the permission, support, and assistance from the sisters of my congregation. In a special way, I would like to thank Reverend Sister Suse Magnificat, FMA, the then provincial who had initiated me into this doctoral journey, and I'm delighted that she is here with us today. It was incredibly providential that she was in the position of accompanying me further so closely and lovingly as the superior of the convent at Tanjore, from where I went through the most of this journey. Dear sister, your assistance at every stage, your encouragement and support, your trust and confidence in my ability, I can never thank you enough for all these. You were providence personified for me. Thank you, sister. A very special thanks to Reverend Sister Majella Fernando, the present provincial of Tiruchirappalli, the honor of whose presence I have for this moment, for a constant support, accommodating me and providing me all the facility to work whenever I had to come over to Chennai for my thesis work, and more especially for a loving care and assistance as the Superior of St. Francis Xavier Convent, Broadway. My sincere thanks to Reverend Sister TAMILNADU Mary Margaret, the provincial just outgone, who has been grateful and patient with me through this journey. My loving thanks to my present animator at Auxilium College, Madurai, Reverend Sister Dr. Savari, for her support and understanding in these months running up to the end, and for a constant accompaniment in all my needs. And to dear Sister Dr. Maria Pushpam, who has been a loving superior once and a close personal aid in this work, who helped me find translators for my tools of research. My love and thanks to you. And thanks to all the dear sisters of the province who have been with me, and especially those who are with us today. Thank you all for the love and prayerful support during this doctoral journey of mine. I cannot forget some specific names of those persons who had intervened at the right moment and in the right manner during the process of research, enabling my research to advance the way it had to. Dr. Father Anthony Christie, SDB, presently in Rome, Italy, for his constant support and suggestions, which have been so helpful, enabling me to progress in this research and thesis work with confidence. Special thanks to Dr. VSR Vijay Kumar, Professor in Psychology and Statistic Expert, for his timely accompaniment, technical assistance, and expert guidance. He has been truly generous in clarifying every one of my doubts related to statistics and data analysis. Thank you very much. I remember with gratitude Dr. Geeta Suresh, USA, who has sparked the initial fire to kickstart my research proposal, and all other professors who had helped me in various ways at different stages of my thesis, offering me their guidance and suggestions. I wish to remember with thanks every school that permitted me to carry out the data collection, the teachers who assisted me in the process, and every loving adolescent friend of mine who participated in the research. I cannot forget the teachers in Auxilium Tanjore who assisted me during that phase. My special acknowledgement is due to my co-researchers, Ms. Ashwini Devi, Ms. Sujamani, and Ms. Lakshmi Priya, and to Ms. Jemmy S., faculty in WCC, for their friendly support and constant companionship along this process. And now, my dear loving dad and mom, my dear elder sisters and my family members, you have been a lifelong reminders of God's immense love and boundless care. I'm deeply thankful to you for the unconditional affection that I have always experienced and I continue to enjoy from you. Apart from this long journey that comes to a completion today, I have a number of persons to thank for the day today and the event of this Viva Voce. To my loving research supervisor, Dr. Usha Rani, who assisted me in every detail for this day, preparing me for the discussion, seeing to the hall and lunch arrangements with such love and care. Thank you so much, ma'am. And to dear Sister Neha from my community at Madurai, and people working with her for the technical support in live streaming this event. And thank you all dear friends of WCC, all the volunteers who have been there around helping me during this day and for letting the Viva go on smoothly. Dear dignitaries, friends, and dear ones, this research work, more than an accomplishment, has been an experience of the goodness of God and that of persons of goodwill who have stood by me all through the journey. I wish, hope, and pray that the simple concern that I have expressed for the adolescents in particular situations in this work be translated into empathetic accompaniment of the young in the name of the ever-loving God Almighty. Thank you. Invite you all to join us for the lunch in the Riverlands Hall. Thank you all.